It is the second Saturday in July, and you carried it in from the store, like it was something to be proud of. $6. $8 for the big one. You knocked on it in the aisle because you saw somebody do that once. You set it on the counter, the grandkids at the table, the paper plates out, and you take the big knife and cut down through it, expecting that deep red, that first cold sweet bite of summer, and it splits open pale, pink, almost white toward the middle, grainy. You touch it and it's mealy, soft in a way that's just wrong. You taste it anyway because you paid for it. Watery, flat. And one of the little ones says, "Grandpa, is it a good one?" Now, I want you to sit with that. There's no luck in this. There never was. A watermelon tells you everything about itself before you ever pay $1 for it, right there on the rind, in the color, the sound, the little dried curl of vine up top. We just stopped knowing how to read it, and that's $40 of good food going soft in the compost bucket over a summer, in front of the people you love. I'm Pastor Robin. I've kept a garden most of my life. I learned it from people older than me who never wrote a word of it down. The store will tell you it's a gamble, the fellow behind the counter will shrug and sell you another $6 melon next Saturday to replace the one you threw out. It's a lie. There is a melon that sat in the sun on its belly getting sweet for weeks, and there is a melon they yanked off the vine green to ship it, and your only job is to tell the two apart. It costs you nothing but 2 minutes and a pair of eyes, and I'll tell you what each sign is doing plain, the reason underneath it, so you understand it and don't just follow me blind. Stay with me to the end for the surest test of all, the one nobody checks. The first thing you do is turn the melon clean over and look at its belly. Every watermelon has one spot where it sat on the bare dirt the whole time it was growing. Gardeners call it the field spot or the ground spot. You want that spot to be a rich, creamy, buttery yellow, deep yellow, almost orange, like butter left out on the counter. If it's white, or pale, or still has green in it, you put that melon back down and walk away. And here's the why, and it's a beautiful thing once you know it. A watermelon can't turn sweet in a day. It needs weeks lying there in the sun on the vine, weeks of sugar building up, and all that time it's resting on its belly on the warm ground. That patch of skin against the dirt slowly deepens from white to cream to that rich butter yellow. So a deep yellow belly is the melon telling you the truth. It says, "I sat here a long time. I took my time. I got sweet." A white belly is a melon confessing they rushed it, cut it green to ship it, and it never got its weeks in the sun. The belly can't lie about time. That's why it's the first thing you check, and it's the surest of the easy signs. Now let me tell you the trap inside this one, because there's a mistake even careful people make. A little bit of pale yellow, a soft cream color, that's not what you're after. You're after deep. You're after the color of an egg yolk from a good hen. That gold orange that means the sun worked on it long past ripe and into full sweetness. Cream is a melon that got most of the way there. Butter gold is a melon that finished the job, and if a melon has no belly spot at all, if it's green clear around with no pale patch anywhere, don't be fooled into thinking that's a clean, fresh one. That's a melon that was picked so green it never even sat still long enough to make a spot. Green all the way around is not good news. It's a melon that never lay down in the sun at all. The second thing, you're going to do something that feels strange in a grocery store, and I want you to do it anyway. Run your fingers over the skin and look for the webbing. Sometimes you'll see rough, brown, corky lines on a melon, like little tan scars, like somebody drew a spider web on it in brown sugar. Most people think that's damage. Most people pick the smooth, pretty, perfect one and leave the scarred one behind. That is exactly backwards. You want the one with the webbing. Every one of those brown corky lines is the mark of a bee. A watermelon flower has to be visited by a bee many, many times to set a full, sweet fruit. Every time a bee lands and works that blossom, it leaves the tiniest wound. And as the melon grows, that wound heals over into a brown corky scar on the skin. So webbing is a receipt. It is the record of how many times the bees came, and the bees come back again and again to the flower's richest in nectar. So a melon covered in that brown webbing was so sweet, so full of sugar, that the bees couldn't leave it alone. The more webbing, the more visits, the more sugar. It's that direct. Run your thumb across a good one, and you'll actually feel those raised corky lines, rough under your skin like fine sandpaper. That roughness is the fingerprint of 100 bees, and it is the opposite of everything the store trained you to want. The store trained you to want smooth and shiny and perfect, because that's what looks good stacked in a bin. But smooth and perfect means the flowers weren't worked hard, means the sugar didn't build, means you're buying looks instead of sweetness. Some folks confuse this webbing with a scratch or a bruise, so let me draw the line for you. A bruise is a soft, dark, sunken place, and you leave that melon alone. Webbing is raised, dry, and tangent brown, sitting up on the surface, healed and hard. One is damage, the other is a receipt for sweetness. The sun, the vine, and the bees wrote it right there on the outside for you to read. Nobody checks it. You will now. The third sign is the thump. This is the one everybody thinks they know, and most people do wrong. You knock on the melon, sure, but you have to know what you're listening for. Give it one good firm knock with your knuckles, or a flick with the flat of your fingers, and put your ear toward it. You want a deep, low, hollow sound. A boom. Like knocking on a good solid door, or thumping a full barrel. That deep low boom means the inside is full of ripe, juicy, water-heavy flesh, loose and juicy enough that the sound rings hollow through it. What you don't want is a high, tight, dull, flat sound, a tink instead of a boom. That high dead sound means the inside is still dense and hard and green, packed tight, not ripe. The ripe one goes boom, low and hollow. The green one goes tink, high and dead. Here's the one caveat, said plain and once. The thump takes a trained ear, and by itself it won't pick your melon every time for a beginner. So thump it, but let the thump be the vote that breaks the tie. You lean your decision on the belly and the webbing, and you let the sound settle the close calls. And here's the reason the sound changes at all, because once you understand it, you'll hear it better. When a melon is green and unripe, the flesh inside is packed tight and firm against the rind, dense as a green apple, and sound can't travel through it loose and free, so it comes back to your ear, short and high and dead, that tink. As the melon ripens, the sugars develop, and the flesh begins to loosen and turn juicy, pulling ever so slightly away from being packed solid. And now the sound has room to roll around inside and come back deep, low, and hollow, that boom. You are not knocking on the rind, you are listening to the room inside the melon, and a full, ripe, juicy room sounds different from a hard, green, crowded one. Knock on your own chest, and then knock on a full water jug, and you'll hear the difference between dense and hollow in about 2 seconds. The fourth sign, look up at the top of the melon, at the stem end where it was cut from the vine. A lot of times you'll see a little curly tendril right up near there, a little pigtail of vine. Here's the rule. If that curl is dried up, brown, and crispy, that's a good melon. If it's still green and soft and alive, the melon was picked too soon. And the why is the same lesson as the belly, told a different way. That little tendril and the melon are fed by the very same vine. When the melon has drunk up all it's going to, when it's finished, fully ripe, ready, the vine stops sending life to that spot, and the tendril nearest it dries up and dies back. A dead brown tendril is the plant's own signature saying, "This one's done, I finished it." A green living tendril means the plant was still working on it when somebody cut it off early. In a suit, you won't always find the tendril, living Ross Polof to Ace, living Ross Pride on. And here's why I trust this one so much when I can find it. The belly tells you the melon sat a long while, but the tendril tells you the plant itself decided the melon was done, and that's a different, deeper kind of ripe. A melon can lie on the ground plenty long and still get cut a few days early, but when that little curl has gone dead and brown on its own, the vine has cast its own vote. It has finished sending everything it had into that fruit and shut the door. There is no faking that. You can water a melon big and you can rush it to a truck, but you cannot make the vine dry that tendril one day sooner than the fruit is truly ready. It's the plant's honest word, and the plant does not upsell you. The fifth thing, here's a quick one that surprises people. Pick up 2 melons about the same size, one in each hand, and feel them. Feel the weight. You want the heavier one. Every time, of 2 melons the same size, take the heavy one. And the reason is pure and simple. It's just water and sugar. A ripe watermelon is heavy because it is dense with juice and with dissolved sugar, packed full of it. That weight in your hand is literally the weight of the sweetness and the water inside. A lighter melon of the same size has less juice in it. It's drier. It's been sitting too long off the vine, losing water, or it never filled all the way. So heft them. Trust your hands. The heavy one is the sweet one, nearly always. This isn't just an old porch saying, either. The agricultural folks who study these things measure ripeness by something they call specific gravity, which is a fancy way of saying how heavy the fruit is for its size. Because the denser it is with sugar and water, the riper and sweeter it tests. Your 2 hands are doing the same measurement the laboratory does, just quicker and for free. A grandmother lifting 2 melons at a roadside stand was running a science she never needed a name for, and it works best when you compare. So don't try to guess the weight of 1 melon in a vacuum. Grab 2 of the same size, hold 1 in each hand, and let your arms tell you which one is holding more summer inside it. And here's a word on size, because it trips people up and it's worth its own minute. When you get to that bin, you'll feel the pull toward the biggest melon in the pile. Bigger looks like more, and more looks like a better deal for your $6. Bigger is not sweeter, it never was. The sweetest melons are almost always the medium ones, the ones a farmer would tell you sat and finished at their proper size, instead of being pushed and watered and swelled up big and watery to sell by the pound. A melon has only so much sugar in it to give. Stretch that same sugar across a giant watery fruit and every bite tastes thinner. Keep it in a sensible medium melon, and every bite is concentrated and sweet, so don't reach for the monster. Reach for the medium one with the buttery belly and the bee scars. Match the melon to your family, too. There's no sense buying a 15-pound melon for 2 people and watching the back half of it go soft in the icebox by Wednesday. Size sensible, not size showy. That's the old way. And number 6. Look at the melon's shape and the color of the whole rind, not just the belly. You want a melon that's a good even, symmetrical shape, a smooth uniform, oval, or round, with no strange lumps or flat caved-in sides. And you want the overall rind to be a deep, dull, matte green, not a bright, shiny, waxy green. 2 Y's packed in here. The even shape tells you the melon got watered and pollinated evenly all the way around while it grew, so the sugar spread through it even, sweet from end to end. A lumpy, lopsided melon got fed unevenly. Some pollination here, a dry spell there, and it'll be sweet in one part and watery in another. And the dull matte skin over a shiny skin? A ripe melon's skin goes dull and hardens up as it finishes. A shiny, glossy melon is usually a young one, an underripe one, still wearing that waxy sheen it had when it was small and growing fast. As it finishes, that shine fades to a low, chalky dullness, the same way a green tomato loses its gloss as it turns. So a matte, dusty-looking rind is a melon that has stopped growing and started sweetening. So dull beats shiny, and even beats lopsided. Now, I told you at the start there's a biblical way to this, an ancient way, and here's where it comes home. People think of a watermelon as a modern thing, a picnic thing, a lawn chair in July thing. It is ancient. Turn back to the book of Numbers, where the children of Israel are worn down and grumbling in the wilderness, and hear what they cried out that they missed. We remember the fish, which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers, and the melons, and the leeks, and the onions. The melons, the very same fruit, ached for in a hungry desert thousands of years ago. Every test I just gave you, the belly and the webbing and the thump, is old knowledge passed hand to hand down all those years, from a grandmother's porch clear back to a people who knew a good melon when they saw one. So let's put it all together, quick, so you can carry it into the store. Turn it over and look for the deep buttery yellow belly. Run your hand over it and find the brown corky webbing. That's the bee's love letter. Thump it and listen for the low hollow boom, not the high dead tink. Check the little tendril up top. You want it dried brown, not green. Heft 2 of the same size and take the heavier one. Pass up the giant one and pick a sensible medium melon, because bigger is watery, not sweeter. And look for an even shape and a dull, not shiny, rind. That's the whole thing. 7 signs, 2 minutes, and you will never carry another mealy pink disappointment home to your grandkids as long as you live. Do the belly first, do the webbing second, and let the thump break the tie. That's the order that never fails you. If your mother or your grandmother had her own way of doing this, put it down below. That old knowledge gets lost when nobody writes it down, and I read every single one. Tell me, what did your grandmother tap for or turn over at the market? I want to hear it. And next time, I'm going to show you how to pick a sweet, ripe cantaloupe, which fools even good gardeners, because the signs are completely different from a watermelon's, and getting the two mixed up is exactly how folks bring home a bad one. That's the natural next step after today. And remember this as you go. You didn't put that sweetness in the melon. You didn't teach the bee to come back to the sweetest flower, or the vine to dry its own tendril when the fruit was done, or the belly to turn from white to butter-yellow as the sun did its slow work. The sun, the vine, and the bees wrote a love letter on every good melon they ever made. Until then, look for the buttery yellow belly, the brown webbing, the low hollow boom, and the dried brown tendril. You just have to know how to read it.